Welcome to the Elevating Leaders series, where we go beyond the headlines and straight to the people who are redefining insurtech and business transformation. We've caught up with the visionaries and the pioneers that are currently driving the industry forward, bringing you exclusive insights, strategies, and stories you won't hear anywhere else. If you're ready to go deeper, this is your front row seat to the future of insurance. I'm Miguel Edwards, and this is 5 Minutes.
Talk to me a little bit about your current organization and what that platform offers.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's called Stitch Studio.
Okay.
Stitch is an AI platform, like every other company.
Yeah, right. We're going to dive into that a little bit. Yeah.
It's an AI platform driven by the thesis that AI agents and assistants needs to be very narrow.
Okay.
In order to be effective, and they need to be taught organizational context.
Okay.
Right. If you ask ChatGPT to look at a document and answer questions, it'll be akin to asking somebody walking down the street to look at your claims form and make a decision. Right. Like that's basically what if you average out every opinion and knowledge that you have, that's what ChatGPT does. That's not what you want for your organization. It may work for today, but it won't work for a decade from now.
Sure.
So in order to get to that decade where you have an organization that has a language model specifically tuned to you, representing you as an organization, you need to start from a place where each use case that you develop has a context associated with it, and that's systematically maintained and uploaded into a system that can be forward-looking and used for bigger use cases. That's the thesis. If you think about like where we are today, there's a lot of like vertical solutions that are coming up. And vertical solutions are great. It'll give you what you want today.
Right.
Very quickly, but if you look at what happened in the early 2000s in the insurance industry, there were lots of shiny new toys,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
We ended up getting one for new business, one for quoting, one for policy and claims and all of that. So, and then we spent the next couple of decades trying to connect all of them, which is sort of the trajectory we're heading into if you go down that path. So what my thesis is that you have to start with a common core platform core AI platform that allows you to take the organization's context. This is another thing that sort of comes to my mind too as I'm in the middle of my chain of thought, is if you want to go to a future where each organization has their own language model and that can represent them and be their agent, you're not going to get to that future by building vertical vendors and doing that, right? You have to get to that future by getting individual teams intuitions into what's digitized way.
Sure.
So if you can help, the way to do that would be to help individual teams gain more productivity, and in order to do that, they have to tell an agent how they think.
Okay.
And if I keep doing this over several use cases, now you have enough context that you can create fine-tune a language model using that represents your organization.
I'm going to get a little technical here and then way over my skis super fast.
Yeah.
So bear with me, because now I'm struggling with the notion of enterprises building not necessarily their own LLM frameworks, but the notion of training their own LLM models. And I remember when I first started investigating AI, a matter of fact, one of the first places I went to was an OpenAI conference.
Yeah.
And the founders were talking about the fact that, building your own LLM is nuts. You're never going to be able to, you don't have the scale to train these models. Yeah. So what's the magic trick then behind what you're talking about?
So LLMs are getting commoditized really fast.
Okay.
Right? Like, so there's going to be a handful of them. We don't know who the winner is going to be, but it's going to get commoditized really fast. Kind of like the cloud wars of the last decade.
Yep.
I feel like I like what Sam Altman said, right? Which is, if you guys are creating company that'll be happy when the next model that gets released, that gets better, then you're fine. You're adding value to someone, and that'll be great. But you don't want to compete on the commoditized space, right? Like, so the space, where organizations need to be at the layer on top.
Got it.
And if you think about what will get them that competitive edge on the layer on top, is obviously data. We've been saying that for the past 2 decades. That's great. We'll keep saying that.
Right.
And the other is, how do I get individual teams organizational memory, like the context. How do I behave in these situations? How do I think about claims that look like this, right? Like, how do you want to respond to a customer who's calling me like this, right? Like, so those are all individual people making decisions on a minute-by-minute basis, and that's something that if you start building AI around it and start tracking that,
right.
How do I behave in these situations? That becomes part of your contextual data, not like data you operate on.
Right.
This is like, you can think of it as like behavioral data of employees and your organization. So if you put these two together, then you will end up with a layer that you can use to fine-tune your language model that's commoditized, and it becomes yours in a way.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.